Good morning, Boker Tov. Oh, here we are breathing in another day. Oh, grateful for it. Lucky to have all this wonderful, terrible technology. And it's great to share it with you as I get this together here. Yeah, we're almost there. Oh, good morning. Here we are, just getting ready for our daily time together. It's so great to be here. Yeah, good morning to all. And to all a wonderful new day. Oh, it was beautiful to see the moon last night. Big full moon. Just a reminder of, even in the world that changes and cycles all the time, of that moment of wholeness. It feels so good to see that completeness even evidenced in the sky. And so good to be with and to see all of you. Boker Tov. Boker Tov from Temple Sinai. It's wonderful to be here together again this Friday morning, this Yom Shishi b'Shabbat, to take this time together on Sinai Streams, Temple Sinai's online offerings, to connect, to reflect, and to remember. And today on Friday, we reflect a little more widely than we necessarily do at other times. And I want to talk this morning about the search for answers. As I was looking around myself and taking the brief time I spend each day to take in some news as well, to take in the kind of information that I need, it worries me to see where this search for answers leads. I mean, not the search for scientific answers. I'm really so in admiration of those who are committing themselves day after day, not just to protecting us on the front lines, as important as that is, but those who are working hard, searching for a vaccine, searching for a treatment, searching for a solution to save lives, and to use all of the kind of hard information knowledge that we have access to. That's something so significant and so important. I, like you, I'm not a scientist. I love science, though I do, and find it fascinating to read. I'm not someone who can offer that. And it worries me that there's a different kind of search for answers that we're in the middle of that leads often to frightening places. I see it all over the place. I was looking on Times of Israel, an excellent app and website with information about Israel. And it talked again about, just as at the beginning of this outbreak, some of the more extreme leaders in Israel's ultra-Orthodox community believed that studying Torah could protect them from a virus. Now we have from one of the big yeshivot in Bnei Brak, its leaders saying that the reason that there's been more viral outbreak among the ultra-Orthodox is because they live to a higher standard, so God holds them to a higher standard. Oh, it's difficult to see these kinds of answers that are in fact non-answers, that are in fact our desire always to take something that defies explanation and to seek out some kind of more simplistic explanation that's going to tell us, make us safe, that give us something to do next, that takes us out of this sense of uncertainty, which unfortunately is the place in which we live. And that uncertainty takes us to such difficult places. Reading on that same app and in other places online about the anti-Semitic tropes that follow along with some of the protests in the States against these safety measures that are put in place, and throughout Europe and other places as well, where minority populations and the Jews are blamed for this kind of physical, biological outbreak. When people look for a scapegoat, for someone to blame, they find those groups that, like the Jews, have historically been without protection and been exposed to this kinds of hatred. It seems to be bursting out in all kinds of places. I read as well about the setting afire of cell towers in Quebec, a few of them, because of a belief that 5G digital connectivity somehow strengthens or causes the virus. Why is it that we are always looking for answers seemingly in the wrong places? I think part of the reason is because human nature is that, in fact, the things that we most want to have answers to, we seem not to find answers for. I think to understand, we need to go back, at least from the Jewish perspective, to the earliest moments of the descriptions of humanity in the Torah. And in this particular understanding of Genesis chapter 2, I follow Meir Sternberg, who is a professor of Bible at Tel Aviv University, and who wrote a brilliant analysis of the story of the Garden of Eden, this mythical place of origin and of early innocent life for humanity, because he points out that there are two different trees in the garden, right? There's the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the tree of life. The tree of life is only mentioned by name at the end of the story, this is a Jewish story, and where the people are told, where the first two humans are sent out of the garden lest they eat and live forever. Many different philosophies think that what defines human action is the fear of death as the reality of mortality. And while there's no question that the fragility of our physical existence has a huge impact on us, these words from our Torah describe a Jewish perspective on the human condition that says that's not the tree that we think is in the center of the garden. Here, starting in verse 15 of chapter 2, says the eternal God took Adam and placed him in the Garden of Eden to till it and to tend it, and the eternal God commanded Adam, which is a human being, man, all humanity, and said, of every tree of the garden you were free to eat. But as for the tree of knowledge of good and evil, good and bad as it's listed here, you must not eat it, for as soon as you eat it, you will die. And it continues, it is not good for Adam to be alone. Those two things mean so much. First of all, that what is the tree? What is that which we crave? What is that we want to feel and understand? We want to have complete knowledge of good and evil. We want to understand the moral lesson behind every moment, behind every action, especially huge moments, such as the one in which we are now living. That when our world changes, when frightening things are happen that affect us directly and personally, what is that fruit that we want to take a bite of? We want to say, somebody tell me the answer of how this makes sense. Viruses don't make sense. Viruses follow paths of contact and physical reality. The meaning of them, the morality of the moment is in our choices in responding them. It's in the questions we ask, not the answers that we seek. It's in our willingness to say, wow, I don't understand, and yet here I am. Even if I am afraid, what can I do to make a difference? Yes, I want explanations too for all these things. But these strange places in our world are where we end up when we seek answers that it is the human condition not to have. We cannot know what justice there is and isn't in any absolute sense in these moments. But what we can do, look at the next thing after these moments, when we realize that we can't have the fruit of the tree of good and evil. We can't have perfect knowledge of anything, and most of all, of moral reality. Then where does our story turn? It says it's not good to be alone. That our thoughts need to be not of answers, but of others. Our thoughts need to be those questions that say, how can I help someone else feel less alone? How can someone else help me feel less alone? And how can I allow them to give me that gift? His analysis of this entire text is brilliant. But this key point, I think, is essential in our world today. When we seek after simplistic answers and explanations that are not fitting to the reality of our situation, it leads us to unhealthy or scary or even, God forbid, hateful places. But we really need instead to seek out the care and the awareness of others. In addition, this morning, to seeing these various pieces of news that made me think of these bigger pictures, I also saw an email from friends of mine with whom I curl normally on Monday mornings, something that I've been doing for many years, curling with other fellow clergy, Christian and Jewish clergy together. While I enjoy the clergy, while I enjoy the curling, I enjoy the clergy more. It's more about the opportunity to know and to spend time with one another. That too was suspended midwinter to protect us from the virus. But I saw this morning, and it's not fully confirmed, but passed in an email that one of my very good friends, Bert Folio, he's such a special and caring and loving person. He's a Jesuit priest who lives in a senior's home and takes care and ministers to other aged Jesuit priests who, by the nature of their commitment, do not have immediate families to care for them in the later part of their life. And this email indicated that in the home in which he lives, to serve his brothers and to care for them, that 4 of them have died of COVID. I'm thinking of Bert and all those in senior care facilities who are in any of them, who are working there, who are giving of themselves to try to protect people and to offer love and concern for those at this time who are most alone. Very much I'm going to be thinking of Bert and all in similar situations during this prayerful time as we get into Shabbat tonight and tomorrow, and hoping that just as numbers start to turn around, it's not just about numbers, it's about 1 + 1. It's about each person, and hoping each person can find peace and strength in an incredibly difficult time. And so as we turn to our prayer for healing, prayer for those in need of strength, I have in mind today all those who face difficulty and injury and illness, those who are isolated by these incredibly difficult times, those who are doing everything they can to help us adapt to a painful time and to find a solution. And especially today as a reminder, every day, and especially today, those in senior care facilities that are so ravaged in our country and throughout the world by this horrible disease. We hold all of them in our hearts this morning as we turn to these words of refuah. Mishiberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah v'Rachel v'yirapeh kol makotenu yiratzon milfanech Adonai Eloheinu lachalimam u'larabotam v'yishlach lanu mehera refuah shlema lateret shalom v'nomar amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless and heal all who suffer. May it be the divine will to provide healing and strength. Reveal to us the holiness of life, the wholeness of shalom. And together we say, Amen. And now we turn to our moment of memory as we recall those who died at this season in recent days and weeks, those who died on this day, this 14th of Iyar, in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. During the last 30 days, we extend our condolences to the families of Lauren Barsky, Hannah Glatter, Ruth Kelman, Marcia Mason, Pauline Milrad, Ovid Benari, Andrew Kosman. And on your site that falls this year on the 8th of May, we remember Erwin Igra, Ben Matlin, Esther Moskoff, Sam H. Richardson, Mark Rossett, Sarah Schneider, Helen Steinkoff, Lou Streisfield, Lou Wise. Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be a blessing to us. Our griefs and our sympathies are mingled as we turn together to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope in the Kaddish Tome. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and bring comfort and strength to all who remember. And together we say, Amen. Wishing everyone a wonderful and sweet Shabbat Shalom. As Shabbat begins tonight, Temple Sinai celebration of Shabbat continues with our pre-Shabbat moment with our young families today at 4:30 p.m. And then our stream of our Kabbalat Shabbat service at 6:30 p.m. today, followed by our Shacharit, our Shabbat morning service tomorrow at 10 a.m. And our, during this Omer, during this period of anticipation, going from the freedom of Pesach to the responsibility of receiving Torah at Sinai on Shavuot, we continue our study session at 11:30 a.m. tomorrow as well. Boker Tov and Shabbat Shalom. Make it a fantastic day.